not a fan of that video at all. I think they were going for sort of like a B horror movie kind of vibe. It seems sort of cheap and clumsy. There's so many amazing songs on that album. Why promote that one? Not that there's anything wrong with that song, but I would say it's definitely one of the weaker songs on the album. I chalk it up to sort of a video experiment. I think that's what it was, and it was definitely low budget. It was hardcore low budget. So I think that's what they were going for, sort of a B horror movie thing, and it really was a mess. What do you think, Dave?
I think you're right, but like this was around the time Van Halen, I think they were still finding their way in making videos.
Yep.
Because this one was definitely wacky, and then they would do Pretty Woman a few years later, and that was just as wacky. So I think they were definitely going for the wacky factor, but it didn't quite all gel until the 1984 era. I think they were just kind of sort of struggling to find their way.
Right, that's true. Letter number 6 comes from Dave Ivey from Brazil. Dave, all the way from Brazil. He says, hope all is well. Thanks for a great job well done. He says, I have 2 things. Number 1, Martin Popoff just released a podcast, A History in 5 Songs, episode number 133, Epic Drum Solos. And number 4 is VH's Hot for Teacher. Interesting opinion on whether Alex really played it all at once or if he used 2 takes. Wanted to get your opinion on that matter. Number 2, I wanted to thank you. I've been listening to your podcast for a while, and it has turned me on to great books, and I apparently gained quite a bit of knowledge. With all of this, I know now I was interviewed for a local radio show here in Brazil called Programa Rock Beer. Spoke for 90 minutes in Portuguese and dazzled the guys with so many interesting stories and never released songs. The soundtrack included I Want Some Action, It's the Right Time, Catherine, Lost Boys Calling, We're the Greatest, Have Love Will Travel, Babe Don't Leave Me Alone, and Act Like It Hurts. And I spoke of beer. You see, I am a beer consumier. Connoisseur? No, it doesn't say connoisseur.
Connoisseur, no?
No, it's Sommelier. Commissarier and importer.
Oh my God,
okay. I have no idea. It sounds like a foreign name. Take care. Stay frosty. Dave Ivey from Brazil. Well, Dave, I wanted to tell you, in regards to Hot for Teacher, the intro is sort of controversial. People have talked about it being a car. My personal opinion is I think he did it in 2 takes. I don't know if it's necessarily all done together. That beginning part seems to be one piece, and then the rest seems to be together. But he does play it in concert, so I don't know how that all works out. I think Wolf would probably be the best person to ask that question because he probably knows how to play it. He's a drummer himself, and he knows probably the secret that Alex does, but there's definitely some sort of secret there. In terms of number 2, Dave, keep the VH flag flying in Brazil, and I wanted to tell you, in regards to Brazil, I think you should check out the band's Brazil show from January 1983 from Sao Paulo. Those are some great shows on YouTube, I believe, the bootlegs. So definitely check those out if you want to do more research about Van Halen from your home country. What do you think, Dave?
Oh, yeah, those 1983 South American shows are awesome. But as far as the Hot for Teacher intro, that's a great question. And in fact, it was touched on in a recent podcast by our buddy Martin Popoff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Who has his own podcast, History in 5 Songs.
Yeah.
And recently, about a week or so ago, episode number 133 was called Epic Drum Intros. Right. And he usually picks 5 songs and talk about it. And one of the songs he picks is Hot for Teacher by Van Halen.
Right.
And he spends quite a few minutes talking about, did he do it in 1 take? Was it multiple takes? How much of it was Simmons drums versus non-Simmons drums? Electronic drums versus regular drums. So really a very fascinating conversation. I recommend you listen to that podcast. There's no definitive answers because no one really knows for sure. But either way, whether he did it in 1 take or multiple takes, still one of the most epic drum intros ever.
Absolutely. Letter number 7 comes from Royal Payne. He says, hey guys, Royal Payne here from the Deep South with a first-time question sure to please Dave, who just loves hearing the mailbag and hypothetical of what-ifs right before dream time. I aim to please. Maybe he won't be too mad at me. First off, let me say I really enjoy the show and the commitment to detail. Your perspective on everything is a good listen, and I am a person who works from home, and I love the long format. My question revolves around how the business side of Cabo Wabo could have changed the longevity of Sammy Hagar's tenure in Van Halen. reading some of Sammy's account of how the brothers were really upset at the state of the Cabo bar, causing Sammy to buy them out, then being suspect of it turning around into success, got me thinking. They seem to be so happy together on that MTV Cabo Wabo special. If the cantina was on solid footing from the start and they branded it as Van Halen's Cabo Wabo Cantina and had merchandise success and expanded it to locations sort of like Jimmy Buffett did, would that success have kept the band together? Imagine if the tequila brand was branded Van Halen and all four of them were getting rich off the Van Halen Cabo tequila brand. It seems it would have made it a lot harder to divorce from the band when everything would have been so tied together in that way. Also, maybe the success might have made the brothers less suspicious of Sammy and led to a better rapport during Sammy's wife's pregnancy. In this alternative timeline, Eddie avoids the Van Halen 3 debacle, which may have contributed a little to his other personal issues. Of course, maybe the end of Van Hagar was coming no matter what. What are your thoughts? Am I crazy, or at least crazier than I already think I am? Thanks for the show, Royal Pain. Well, let me tell you something, Royal Pain. I don't think you're crazy at all. I have said this before. I totally agree that this situation turned the brothers off to Sam, because I think they viewed it as almost like they were scammed in a way. Like they put their money in and the thing was not doing well, and then Sam bought them out, and then all of a sudden the thing turned around. Not that I think Sam did anything to scam the guys. I really don't think he did. I think it was sort of a luck situation, and also Sam definitely, stuck with it and wrote it out and tried to make it work, and it all ended up clicking. And, Sammy had the business foresight to think, guys, this is going to take off. This is going to take off. And, I don't know, but I really do think that it could have brought harmony and bonding in the band, but this is what happened, and the death of their manager, Ed Leffler, really caused the problem. Sammy's divorce and family issues caused the problem. His lazy attitude, the hiring of new manager Ray Daniels, and it all spiraled from there. But you got a good point. I think that moment was a key moment, and it really could have united them. And I agree. I think it might have been able to expand it like a Jimmy Buffett brand. I don't know if it would be as widespread as Jimmy Buffett, because Jimmy Buffett is broader strokes. I don't know if everybody would be into Van Halen, but I think, they definitely could have done something with it. I really do. And I think it definitely could have bonded the band a little tighter, and, it could have worked Mikey's hot sauce in there. You could have had your own Van Halen beer brand. I mean, you could have done some different cool stuff. I really do believe that, but I don't know. Hindsight's 20/20, as Dave always says, but it's definitely a moment that I point to as a breakdown of the trust between the brothers and Sam. So what do you think, Dave?
I don't know if they ever could have gotten along on a business arrangement. It just seems like it never worked almost from day one. So I really don't think if they had done all that it would have gone any better. I think it would have went worse. I mean, it went pretty badly this time around. I can only imagine how badly it would have went if they really went all in, like on the tequila company. I mean, oh my God. I think Sam was smart enough to keep that to himself.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Letter number 8, and the last letter of the night, Dave's absolute favorite. It's coming early, so he's getting his Z's in. Letter number 8 comes from Mike DiGregorio, and he says, "Hey guys, thought you'd get a kick out of this screen grab I stumbled onto. 5 years ago, Access TV gave Sammy Hagar credit for the line, 'When was the last time you did something for the first time?' I have no idea why. I remember at that time I tried to call them out on it, but got no response. But look at this." And he sent it to us. It's a picture of Sam singing on a mic, and the quote, "Also, why doesn't anyone mention that Darius Rucker uses the line for the chorus of a song from 2013, and he had a big hit with it?" So what do you say about that? Mike DiGregorio from Rochester, New York. Listen, Mike, what can I tell you, man? Thanks for pointing that out, for sure. Now, Roth, like I said earlier, did not create that line from scratch. He used it in the song The Trouble with Never in the lyrics, but it was just so strange that Sam decided to, really highlight it and claim it as his own for an album that hasn't even been released yet. But I tell you what, the lyric I give him 110% credit for is "Here she comes, foot tapping top down." I'll give him 100% credit for that lyric, because that is something he can surely lay claim to for sure. But I don't know about the other one. Like I said, I think he heard it somewhere, and that's it. What do you think, Dave?
This is going to be his undoing again. this lyric. I swear. I can't wait till someone calls him out on it. The icing on the cake would be somebody calling in on the Eddie Trunk show while Sam's on it. That would be awesome, because I'd love to hear like the both of them try and backtrack on that.
Eddie will throw himself in front of a bus to protect Sam. Honest to God. Eddie will be like, well, what different kind of truth album? I don't think that. Oh, wait, that album is so old. It's just old demos and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's just it's insane. Sammy Hagar, Michael Anthony, my favorite person in the world. So listen, I love Eddie Trunk, I do, and I listen to him every day, but I think sometimes when it comes to this particular subject, I don't know, I really think he's a little bitter that David Lee Roth has never come into his studio. I really do. I think he's pissed off. Listen, I think that upsets him, and, Sammy's always been there for him, and he's always been good with Eddie, and he's always given him a lot of stuff, so, Eddie sides with him, so... But what can I tell you? He's a complicated guy, but I have a feeling that somewhere along the lines, in the press for that album, it's going to come out. Like right now, it's sort of under the radar, like some of the Van Halen fans know, but like when that album comes out, and then people start drawing conclusions, that might be more interesting. He might end up reading it in a review or something. I mean, it might be something along those lines. And then it's going to be like, oh, Roth doesn't own that lyric. That's a famous line from, it might be coming from somewhere, but who knows? Well, that wraps up the mailbag segment. And we are on to our interview with rock journalist extraordinaire Steve Rosen, who had a personal and close relationship with Eddie Van Halen. He is writing a 500-page book on the subject, which is coming out this spring. We get the whole skinny on the situation from Steve, directly from him. I pursued Steve for over a year to get this interview. So lots of hard work put into this. He did come through finally, and we're excited about it. And the reason why it's 500 pages is because he is self-publishing it himself. No publisher wanted to put out a 500-page book on Eddie Van Halen. Typically, books are about 200, 250 pages, but this is almost like double, and he really isn't leaving anything out. And there's all kinds of reasons why, and great stuff in there. And Steve talks about it. He's been working on this book for years. I don't want to give it away, but he has all kinds of stuff he's going to talk about in the interview. It's 75 minutes. You definitely want to get into it. It's full of Van Halen minutia, and that's all coming up next. Take a listen.
When the Van Halen image began taking shape, I started spending more time in bed, actually. As you can see, Van Halen is not terribly image conscious. We just sort of let it all be, We're not really poets. We're not really philosophers. We just sort of go about our merry way, and the music is a soundtrack for that.
Martin Popoff here. Hope you're enjoying this latest episode of Dave and Dave Unchained, the Wise Swamis on All Things VH. Just wanted to remind you that at martinpopoff.com, I've got 2 Van Halen books that I wrote. One is Van Halen, a visual biography, which is basically a big hardcover coffee table book, 400 images, 20,000 word detailed timeline. And the other one is called Unchained, a Van Halen user manual. It's the sort of 120,000 word, very academic, a lot of crazy chapters, a lot of trivia, wordy book that I did on Van Halen. So yes, go to martinpopoff.com. I sign and ship those out of my office here in Toronto. There's PayPal buttons for the US, international, and Canada. Again, Van Halen, a visual biography, and Unchained, a Van Halen user manual. Back to Dave and Dave.
Are you a guitar enthusiast? Want to learn all the tricks and licks of the trade? Searching for that Eddie Van Halen sound and speed? Want to play in the style of Alex Lifeson of Rush, Mick Mars of Motley Crue, or Brian May of Queen? Then sign up for Zoom lessons from the best, Lance Turner, the guitars for the #1 Van Halen tribute band, the Atomic Punks. Lance will take you on as his personal student in the comfort of your own home on Zoom. To sign up, contact Lance via email at lancetLessons@gmail.com. Lessons are at an affordable rate of $40 an hour. Email Lance today at lancetlessons@gmail.com. That's LANCETLESSONS@gmail.com.